From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com, TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family. At the Embassy Diner, mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And don't forget about the Marty Lyons NFL Draft Party coming up on April 24th. We'll tell you more about that later in the show. Hi again, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome inside the Governor's Comedy Club podcast studio here in Levittown. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Make sure that you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast channel on YouTube. Follow them along on Facebook as well. And follow Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Now, we're going to talk some baseball here on the show today. Coming up, I'll be joined by Jonna Perlinger, who covers the Yankees for On New Jersey. She also hosts the Babes podcast, a lifelong Yankees fan. Glad we're able to make this connection here today. We've been working, excuse me, we've been working on it for a while. And Jonna is going to join us here on the show at around 1:20. Of course, later on in the show, we're going to have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. And again, the phone number is 516-465-3990. I feel like channeling my inner WWE champion Cody Rhodes at this point here in the beginning, because if you follow wrestling, you know that every time he steps into the ring and to do a promo, he always starts by telling the crowd or asking the crowd, what do you want to talk about? And I feel like there's so much to talk about that, and we only have an hour, and a third of that will definitely be taken up by baseball with Jonna. And there really is a lot to talk about. We can talk about baseball, the Yankees and the Mets, obviously early on in their season. The Mets just keep rolling at home, unbeaten now. I think it's 5-0 at home so far early in the season. The Yankees were off to a good start, but now they've stumbled the last two games in Pittsburgh, and then again, last night, yesterday afternoon, actually in Detroit. And that brings up another thing to talk about. This weather, and maybe this is a reason why I can't seem to shake this cough and this sometimes runny nose. Like, this weather is ridiculous. I'd love to talk to a doctor about this. And maybe I will soon, because it's not getting any better. It's gotta affect, if you're already under the weather, and you've got one day where it's 80 degrees and another day where it's 20 degrees, I mean, it's got to not be good for your immune system. I mean, it's flipping cold at sometimes now. We just had an 80-degree day the other day. Maybe I need to get a meteorologist that I know on the show and talk about this, but this is crazy. Did you see the Yankee game? In Detroit, they moved all three Yankee games this week up to afternoon games. In fact, right now, the Yankees are playing as we speak here at 1 o'clock or 1:03 as we do the show live on this Tuesday. And Tony Walker, God bless him, the host of the Knock 'em Dead comedy show, having his lunch as usual. He waits until the show starts and then he digs in, right? He is trying very, very hard to get the Yankee game for me on the video. There's a big video screen here in the studio that is normally on the show on a little bit of a delay, but he's trying to find the Yankee game for me. He's working hard, like way too hard, while he's got something in. He's eating something with one hand and he's operating his laptop with the other hand. So all kudos to Tony for trying, and he doesn't have to do this, because he's a diehard Mets fan. And all he really would be doing just making me happy. Like he has no interest. Now I see Carlos Carrasco up on the screen, but that's just his bio. But it's okay. If you don't find it, you find it. I'll keep. I understand that, and I really appreciate it. But I don't want you to overwork yourself trying to find the Yankee game for me. It's only an hour show, and I'll listen to Dave Sims and Susan Wallman when I get in the car afterward, because I have some other errands to run. But the weather in Detroit, I was watching the game a little bit yesterday. These guys are, it's worse than a football game. Because at least football players, when it's freezing cold outside, now I know that they bundle up and they wear some extra stuff underneath. But to watch Austin Wells get up at bat yesterday, basically like he's going out to shovel snow, with that neck thing like covering up his mouth, like that's not baseball. And this is a problem early season and even late season. My body, I don't know how about anybody else, I'm not programmed to go see baseball in the wintertime when it's cold out. It's very, very hard to follow a baseball game when it's really, really cold outside. And the only time you'll ever catch me going is certain occasions. We're actually going to the Yankee game, my family and I, next Monday. But generally, if you go opening day, or obviously in October, you deal with the cold if you're at October baseball in the pennant race and then in the playoffs. But to sit out there, like those poor souls in Detroit are sitting out there, and the players too. Look, I know the players are getting paid a whole lot of money, but that's just not baseball. Baseball is a spring, it's summer, it's go to the game with a t-shirt and shorts on, have an ice cold beer if that's what you like, in my case, a giant Diet Pepsi, have a hot dog, and enjoy it and sit back and relax and watch. Like, to sit and watch a baseball game like this, like that's not what, you can't enjoy a baseball game like that.
It's a good sound effect.
You like that one?
I did, I liked it.
But here's the funny part with that. I will go to a football game in any weather and not have a problem because my body is programmed. And I think if you're a football fan, you're programmed to sit out in the cold weather at a football game. I went to college in Buffalo. And I will tell you that some of the coldest games I have ever been to, we're going to a couple of Bills games that were really, really cold while I was in college. And even after I graduated, I remember going back up there to see. It was the week after Dennis Byrd got hurt when he was paralyzed in that game against the Chiefs. The Jets were playing in Buffalo the week after, and I already was scheduled to go up and visit some friends from college. And that was the game Brian Washington picks off Jim Kelly in the fourth quarter with a couple minutes to go, and the Jets go up to Buffalo, and they stun the Bills. But that day, at that time, was the coldest game in Bills history. I think it's since been broken. I think I was at a record breaker twice while I was up there because my roommate in college was a Raiders fan. And we went to a Bills-Raiders game, and it was just really flipping cold. And then this Jet game, too. But at least I got to see the Jets win. It was not so bad. But this baseball is just ridiculous with the cold weather. And it's gotten to the point here in New York where the weather this week is so sketchy that the Met game today has been moved up to a 4 o'clock start because the weather's supposed to get really bad tonight. And this is, again, the problem with Northeast baseball outdoors. I don't have a problem with football. I mean, people were bitching and moaning about, like when MetLife Stadium was built. And listen, I hate MetLife Stadium. Like, I've gone off on tangents on that too. MetLife Stadium should have been built with a retractable roof. Period. End of story. Because the Jets and Giants do want that advantage of being a Northeast team playing in the elements, and I get that. So you keep the roof open unless it's like really, really nuts. But if they had built MetLife Stadium with a retractable roof, we could have had more than one Super Bowl. We got lucky getting the one Super Bowl there, and they got lucky with the weather that it wasn't bad that day. It was bad hours after the game was over, but not during that game. But this, I am praying next Monday that for the Yankee game that we have a warm, not even a warm, just a comfortable evening. But to the souls that are going out to see the Met game today at 4 o'clock at Citi Field, God bless you. Bundle up and try and stay warm. I'm told, because I don't drink, and when I say I don't drink, other than an occasional glass of wine or a glass of champagne, I am not the person who goes to the game and gets soused and just doesn't remember what the score of the game is when they get home. That's not me. I'm told by people, because I know a lot of people who do that, some even in my family, that the alcohol has a way of keeping your body warm during these really frigid games. Tony, would you know anything about that?
No.
No. Okay. Good. It was very simple. One word answer about that. I'm told that the alcohol does wonders in keeping you warm. Again, I have nothing to. It's nuts. It's nuts. But in any event, if you're going to the Met game today, bundle up. If you happen to be watching this game sitting at the Yankee game in Detroit right now, God bless. I mean, just do what you can to stay warm. Do what you can, because it's impossible. I didn't plan on spending 10 minutes talking about the weather. I did have. I went off on a tangent on there, but. I did want to, and this is really where I wanted to start today, it's always cool when you're in this, even if you're not in this business, but generally, because I'm in this business, I've gotten the opportunity to see a lot of really cool things. And by the way, let me just preface this by saying this is not an April Fool's joke, because last week I got in trouble for it, for saying, like, I've had all these great moments, like covering sports and going as a sports fan. But that part of it is true. I am very, very lucky. I grew up a huge sports fan, and working in it is great. And I was really excited to be at UBS Arena on Sunday for the Islanders-Capitals game. And sure enough, Alex Ovechkin, that's the reason that a lot of people were there, and a lot of people that would not normally be there were there. Full house. I've never seen the press box, and I've covered 1 million games already at UBS Arena, including playoff games and playoff games and the first ever game that was there. Remember, that was coming out of COVID, so it was a full house, but I think there were some empty seats there that night. But UBS Arena was packed like sardine cans on Sunday for the chance, and there's no guarantee it's going to happen. But it did. In the second period, Alex Ovechkin scores career goal number 895, passing Wayne Gretzky for the all-time NHL lead. And like that's a moment you'll always remember that you're there, even if you're not a Capitals fan. By the way, it was like being at a game in D.C. That's how many Capital fans were at this game, including my niece and her boyfriend, who took the train from Maryland that morning to come to the game. They bought their tickets months ago with the chance that could be the game where. And that was funny because if you looked at all the projections, and people were doing this on social media for weeks and weeks, when is Alex Ovechkin projected to break the record? And it was almost every single time it was April 6th against the Islanders. And sure enough, he scored 2 goals Friday night. And he scored 2 goals with ample time left in the game. I mean, he came close a couple of times, too, to breaking it on Friday night at home. And my niece and her boyfriend were at that game, too. But like, I would like to see him break it. And this brings up, the reason why I bring all of this up is that it's so cool to be at these great moments, but there were so many Islander fans that were angry on Sunday. And some of them were angry at me because I put on social media right after it happened that it was just so cool to be there to see. And forget about Ovechkin breaking the record. Wayne Gretzky's in the building too. And Gretzky takes the microphone on Sunday, and this is why this made it like I was getting goosebumps for Gretzky to speak so glowingly about the Islanders. Mm-hmm. And he's always done that. That's not the first time. If you heard that on Sunday and you said, wow, he was really nice. Gretzky has, in the past, been very, very complimentary about especially the old Islanders. And he talked on Sunday about being on Long Island, and he did make the joke, of course, like he was glad he was at UBS Arena instead of at Nassau Coliseum where he lost so many games with the Oilers. But he spoke so glowingly about the Islanders organization, their sportsmanship, their professionalism, and how they handled the game on Sunday. Spoke about Al Arbor and Bill Torrey and gave respect to them. I mean, Wayne Gretzky, all class. What an ambassador for the game of hockey. And how cool was it that he was wearing the Gordie Howe number 9 pin because he broke Gordie Howe's record, and now he's there being so gracious and so wonderful with Alex Ovechkin breaking his record. I thought it was really, really cool to be there. Now, from an Islander fan's perspective, it was a game that obviously the Islanders are trying to stay in the playoff race. I don't think they're going to quite get there. I think there's too many teams to jump and not enough games left. But at the end of the day, in all likelihood, it could be a meaningless game for the Islanders. But I wanted to see the record broken. It doesn't matter to me that it happened against the Islanders. It would be one thing if the Islanders and Capitals were battling for a playoff spot or battling for first place in the division. Then I would say, that hurt a little bit. And there's a picture that, and if you've seen it on my social media, I took a picture from the press box. It was right after Ovechkin scores the goal, and all the Capital players come off the bench, and they're all, huddling him, and they come over towards the boards, towards the press box side. I'm looking down from the press box, and I took this picture of the celebration, and the Islander logo at center ice is right behind them. And you might also think, well, that's kind of demeaning to the Islanders because they're celebrating on the Islanders' ice right by their logo. I don't look at it that way. As a hockey fan, more so than being an Islanders fan, I just really thought it was cool to be there for that. And here's the best part. The Islanders won the game. They won the game and stay in the playoff race. So if you're an Islanders fan, whether you were there or you were home watching it or you were listening, and you had a problem with it, I could say I understand, but you know what? It was hockey history in our building here on Long Island by a guy who is basically, listen, I know he's been a thorn in our side. I get it. He's scored a lot of goals against the Islanders for a number of years. Oh, Ovechkin scored again. But, that was just a cool moment. He's been a guy he's never been in any kind of trouble. I think they had that thing with the Russian a couple of years ago. There was some thing with his family at home, I think, but that wasn't anything that was his doing. He's been a model citizen. He's been so good for the sport of hockey. If I wasn't in the press box, if I was sitting in the stands with an Islander jersey on, I would have applauded him. I would have. You can't do that in the press box. You can't. You can't be unprofessional, which, didn't stop somebody from asking me for something. But that's another story. But I really thought it was neat. I enjoyed it. Congratulations to Alex Ovechkin. There were two problems with the day. And this is me nitpicking. The ice cream machine in the UBS Arena press box didn't work on Sunday, which I always like to have my ice cream after the second period when I cover a game. So that was broken. And then later in the day, the Washington Capitals put a tweet out, and it was actually cute. It was a picture of UBS Arena, and it was kind of like Alex Ovechkin's face, and he was like a god looking down from the heaven on top of UBS Arena. I don't know, Tony, if you caught that picture, I'll show it to you when I get a chance. But it's basically, it was kind of like Alex Ovechkin is looking down on UBS Arena, and the Washington Capitals said, great moment, something like great moment in Long Island. And if you watch the show and you know me, you know that that's a pet peeve. It's not in Long Island, it's on Long Island. So I quote tweeted it and said, congratulations, but it is on Long Island. So that was those two things, the ice cream machine not working and the Capitals saying in Long Island, not on Long Island, the two things that kind of spoiled the day. But in any event, the Islanders won. Ovechkin broke the record. And it was just a good day. Again, if you're an Islander, if you're an uptight Islander fan that didn't like it, I'm sorry for you. You're not going to change my mind. I enjoyed being there. I was glad to see history, and looking forward to getting that the puck, the Islanders versus Capitals puck. They ran out of them.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand. That was the other thing too. I got to the building so early with the hope of getting, because they sell every game in the store. They sell the puck that has Islanders versus whoever they're playing. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to get there early and get that puck. And I was there 5 after 11. The gates opened at 11 o'clock.
And they were already out of them?
I got to the store, and they were already gone.
Wow.
And I go to the front of the line. I'm like, they said, oh, you can order them online. We have them online, ileslab.com. I'm like, but how could you not have enough pucks?
Yeah.
Like, that was what I didn't understand about the whole day, was that they knew 17,000 people were there to see history. And the chance of you selling 15,000 of those pucks were pretty, you had to do. What did they have, 10 pucks? I actually saw somebody in the front of the line with 10 pucks in their hand. So what did they have, 100 pucks in the room?
Right.
How did you not order at least 5,000 pucks thinking people were going to order them? Now, I'm getting one because my wife was very nice enough when I told her they already sold out of the puck. She asked me, did you get the puck? No, they have them online. And the internet was not good in the building on Sunday because there's 17,000 people that are posting that they're there. But I'm getting the puck. I just thought it was kind of strange that the Islanders didn't have more available in the press box. In any event, that will do it for my rant about the Islanders. I got more stuff later on about some other things. But coming up on the show, I'll be joined by Jonna Perlinger, who covers the Yankees for On New Jersey. She also hosts the Babes podcast and a lifelong Yankee fan. We're going to talk to her when we come back with more Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3900 is the number. No, I got that wrong. 516-465-3990. Did I get it right the first time?
I thought you
No,
did.
I think I couldn't remember if I got the phone number right. See, I'm always having problems with phone numbers on this show because I either got that number wrong or I was giving out a number for an old sponsor, and I was giving my home phone number out instead of the actual number. So like 516-465-3990 is the number to call here on Sports Bash. And I get I'm kind of lost now because it's not often that I do the show while a game that I want to watch is on TV, and we can't get the Yankee game in here. But the Yankees are no score, top of the second inning now against the Tigers. On that subject, we welcome in our special guest on the show. She covers the Yankees and the Phillies for some reason, for On New Jersey. She also hosts the Babes podcast. Want to welcome to the show Jonna Perlinger. Jonna, it's Peter. How are you?
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. Keeping my eye on the Yanks score here.
Yes.
And we just had a 1-2-3 outing from Carlos Carrasco.
So very good. Mr. Cookie is doing well so far in a Yankee uniform. Let me start with you first, and an introduction, because you're a social media sensation, especially amongst Yankee fans. And for those who don't know your story, you grew up a huge Yankees fan, and you've been able to turn that passion for the Yankees into a career covering them as well as the Phillies. Tell us a little bit about growing up and how you became a Yankee fan and how you've been able to to flip that into a career and also provide another voice for women in sports.
Absolutely, yeah. So I grew up in the Midwest where, we had to catch the Yankees just when we could, right? So I grew up right smack dab in the middle of the U.S. here in Nebraska, and we would travel to Kansas City when the Yankees were in Kansas City. We'd travel to Denver when they, on the rare chance that they hit the Rockies. And my dad, grew up a big fan, so he just passed it on. I didn't really have a choice from birth, but I'm so happy about that. And he would talk about the Mantle and Maris chase, and we would sit and watch, the 90s Yankees teams together. And actually coming into the 95 season, the Rockies had their opening day. They had an exhibition game to open Coors Field. So Coors Field was just built. It was opening. It was the first game they ever played there, and they did an exhibition game with the Yankees. And Buck Showalter, as you know, was the manager at the time, came over and handed me a broken bat during batting practice. And I left that day with a bat and a ball, and it was that moment that I was going to be a fan for life.
You were hooked.
I was hooked, yeah. And I don't think players maybe they do, but I don't know if they realize what an impact that kind of thing has on a little kid. Because, from then on, I was obsessed with the Yankees. I would take that bat with me to school for show and tell. They probably got tired of seeing it. And probably wouldn't even be allowed in the school nowadays. But,
No.
But I would put that right by the family TV, and that was coming into the 96 season. I was 6 years old, and that's when, I just felt like that was my lucky bat. We would put that by the TV, watch all the 90s dynasty teams, watched all those championships. And so then fast forward to 2021, I was living in Denver at the time, and MLB came, the Denver Sports Commission, and MLB was emailing out, like, we need volunteers because, the All-Star game happened very last minute that they moved it to Denver that year.
Right.
And so I was on it. I was like, I'm going to be a volunteer. I don't even care what they have me doing. I can stand out in the heat. I don't care. I just want to be part of it. And so I dove right in. And actually, of like 700 volunteers, 30 were chosen to work the MLB draft. So I was one of the 30 that got to go to the draft, meet Nick Swisher. Trey Sweeney was drafted that year, so I got to congratulate him right when he got off stage.
And Nick Swisher's a pretty good guy to meet because he never stops talking, and he's so happy to talk to people.
He really is. He gave me the exact energy that I always pictured he would, if you met him, if you encountered him on the street. So, yep, he's exactly who he's advertised as. Very cool guy. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I need to have a career in baseball. This is where I shine. This is what I love doing. I love talking baseball with people. And so from there, I took on a writing gig with, at the time it was Jersey Sporting News, and we all moved over to On New Jersey last summer. And so from there on, I kind of gained a Twitter following from there, just live tweeting games, and I've met a lot of really cool people in person at games. And yeah, it's just, it's a family.
There's that movie that Billy Crystal had years ago called City Slickers, and he tells the story, and it's actually a real-life story that he put into the movie. He was wearing a Met hat in the movie for some reason, but he was telling the story about going to Yankee Stadium with his dad for the first time and remembers like what it was like to see Yankee Stadium in color the first time because they only had a black and white TV. So for you as a young girl growing up becoming a Yankees fan, do you remember the first time that you were at Yankee Stadium and what it was like for you didn't grow up in New York, but I'm sure there was that moment you went to Yankee Stadium for the first time and you're in love with this team and now you're at their home for the first time. Do you have any memory of that?
I couldn't have picked a better weekend to go to Yankee Stadium for the very first time, which is going to surprise people because they know how diehard I am, but I never did make it to old Yankee Stadium.
Uh-huh.
I didn't make it there until I was an adult, could pay my own way to go. And I was there the weekend of Aaron Judge's first game, his
Wow.
MLB debut, his home run. And I actually ran into Tyler Austin that night after he and Judge went back-to-back knocks, first at bats, big league at bats. And he was like shocked that someone knew who he was. Tyler Austin.
That was interesting. I remember they went back to back with their first major league homers in the same exact game. And who would have thought that Judge would go on to have the career that he's already had? We're talking to Jonna Perlinger from On New Jersey and also the host of the Babes podcast, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But let's talk about the current Yankees off to a 6-4 start, and as I looked, 0-0 in the second inning with the Tigers. Your thoughts on the Yankees coming into the season, losing Juan Soto, making some of the changes, but obviously there's been some injuries as well. Your thoughts on the 2025 Yankees and how things might unfold for them this year.
Man, has it been a fun year to watch these Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And some very pleasant surprises. Paul Goldschmidt leading the team in batting average. I think there are a lot of people who are skeptical of bringing, a veteran in that position where we'd already had that was a sore spot because we had a veteran there before. And we didn't produce very well there last year. And Ben Rice was a part of that, right? But then he's been the other part of the pleasant surprise this year, leading the team in, on-base percentage. And
he's also made life easy, Jonna, for Yankee fans who bought the Juan Soto jerseys last year because he switched his number to 22.
Hey, I can speak to that personally, yes, because I almost threw my Juan Soto jersey in the trash, and I'm so glad I didn't. I was thinking maybe Dominguez would take 22 or, I don't know. I didn't know who, but I didn't expect it to be Ben Rice, but I'm very glad he did.
Yeah, no question about it. And obviously losing Garrett Cole for the whole season hurts, but I think they were able to do enough pitching to kind of keep things together. I'm sure Brian Cashman will make a trade during the course of the season, but pitching-wise, and I know there's been some struggles. Devin Williams has had a little bit of a rough go the first few weeks of the season, but all in all, are you excited enough about this team that they can make a run like they did last year?
I am. Yeah. I think this is the most balanced lineup we've had in years.
I agree with that.
And, Judge is taking less pressure on him, and now he's playing in right this year, so that takes a little bit less impact on him as well. So having those two factors, that's huge. And then having Paul Goldschmidt at the front of the lineup to kind of help cushion him on that end, that's been nice. And Ben Rice too, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're fitting in very nicely there. And then, the bottom of the lineup, like Trent Grisham, he's been an incredible, he's on a tear right now.
Yeah, what did he have for breakfast the other day when he hit 2 home runs?
I don't know. It maybe one of Wells's burritos. I'm not sure.
Austin Wells, I mean, and when you think about the history of the Yankees and, growing up, obviously being a lot older, Thurman Munson was my favorite, to this day, my favorite player of all time. So it's always been special when a good Yankees catcher comes along. And, there was Munson and obviously Posada during the dynasty. And I'm really excited about what Austin Wells is going to bring to the table. I know he struggled with the batting average a little bit last year, but I think he's got a chance to be an all-star catcher this year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. He's been so fun to watch, and he's fun on and off the field. He kind of brings that like lightheartedness, which is good for this mix, I think, for sure.
No question about it. You host this Babes podcast, which I know was a big reason why you soared in popularity, a chance to talk about baseball and open up another door for women in not just in baseball, but in sports in general. Tell us about the podcast, some of the guests you've had on, and how much fun you're enjoying doing that.
Yeah, I really love and appreciate not just Yankees baseball, not just watching a baseball game or the mechanics, but I really enjoy everything that makes baseball in my opinion, the best sport there is. It's so rich in tradition. We all have these like family connections. My dad brought me into this. My grandfather brought me into this. We have family memories, core memories around the game. And so that I just really have this deep appreciation, and I wanted to amplify all the aspects of it behind the scenes that make baseball such a cool thing to, be a part of. And so I've had the Cubs organist on. I've had a tour guide from Fenway Park came on and gave a history of the park and a virtual tour. So I kind of wanted to amplify the people behind the scenes that make it such a special thing to do. And the reason I started it, though, was because I didn't see that there were a lot of women out there with their own show and where it was solely women. And so I just really wanted to, I'll go out in public with my spouse and there will be, people will come up to us. He might be wearing a Yankee hat. They go straight to him. And I'm like, whoa, hey, I know more than he does right now that's going on. And so,
my wife gets the same thing, Jonna, too, because, for whatever reason, there's just still a segment of the population that just can't handle it when a woman knows a thing or two about sports. And, my wife is as knowledgeable as anybody. And people are stunned when my wife can carry a conversation. I'm like, why are people stunned about this? It's 2025.
Yeah, I think that's it. They're stunned then because I always make it a point to chime in, and they're like, whoa, they weren't expecting that. But that was what I like, the whole basis of Babes. I really wanted to provide or create a platform where women can come feel comfortable talking because we know our stuff and, just talk baseball. That's all I want to do.
And for you as a Yankee fan, it's got to be extra special for you because the Yankees not only have one, but two women on their broadcast teams. Of course, Susan Waldman, who's, has broken barriers for women, not just in baseball, but in all sports. And has been the Yankees' longtime radio analyst, now on WFAN. And Meredith Marakovitz, who's been the Yankees clubhouse reporter for a number of years now on Yes. How much impact have the two of them had on you in your career?
Oh, huge. When you grow up and that's what you see and that's what you hear, it tells little girls now, like, we can do this. We're a part of this. And there's not any question about it. And so there's no doubt that filters in then. They've just been total icons for the whole sport of baseball. And it's huge to have that example in front of me.
What's it like being involved in the College World Series in Omaha every year? I know that's something that you enjoy doing as well.
I can hardly put words to how magical that experience is. You're just, these kids are getting ready to join the biggest stage of baseball just 2 weeks out from the College World Series. So you're watching, 2 years ago, Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, and then they go 2 weeks later, first and second picks of the draft. So getting to experience that and talk to them when they're in the midst of like the craziest time of their life and biggest transition, I would imagine, is so cool and so magical to be part of that.
And last thing, Jonna, how can people find your podcast and find your other content?
So you can find me on Instagram at Babes Media, and on Twitter is where I really do a lot of my yapping. Yankees baseball. As you mentioned, I cover the Phillies now too, because we don't have a Phillies writer, and I've actually really enjoyed covering the NL side and kind of being more.
Do you get any flack from New York fans that you are involved with the Phillies now?
No, surprisingly, no.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, I think there's a lot of like Bryce Harper admirers out here still. So I don't know.
My producer Tony is a big Mets fan. He says no, there's nobody around here who likes Bryce Harper.
I'm sorry, Tony. He's like our what could have been,
Yeah.
But no, those guys are fun to follow. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at 90s Yanks Kid, which tells you everything you need to know about me.
Yes.
90s Yanks Kid.
Jonna Perlinger, thank you so much for spending some time. I know we tried doing this for a couple of weeks here, and we finally were able to find a day to do it. And hopefully we can do it again at some point as we move on in the season and continue to talk about our favorite baseball team, the New York Yankees.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Tony, we'll talk to you in a few months.
There you go. Jonna Perlinger from On New Jersey, and also the host of the Babes podcast, and a huge lifelong Yankees fan. And that was awesome having her on the show. When we come back here on Sports Bash, we got some more. We've got the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, which is Yankees related. Also going to talk about the Great Islander event that I was at last week. That we had a special guest on the show about it. Also talk about a big day today is for me as the general manager of the New York Dragons, and that's coming up when we come back right after this.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow, and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved. In 1982, the Marty Lyons...
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by Ticketbash.com, 516-465-3990. The number to call. I'm Peter Schwartz. We say thank you to Jonna Perlinger from On New Jersey for joining us in the last segment. This segment of Sports Bash is presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Before we get to the phone lines at 516-465-3990, let's throw out the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. And this is for Yankee fans. I really can't keep it to Yankee fans because if you see the poll online, you can vote. Doesn't make a test of you to see if you're a Yankee fan or not, but it's directed towards Yankee fans. Is it too early to be worried about Devin Williams, the new Yankees closer acquired from the Brewers in the offseason? 3 choices: yes, no, or too early to tell. There's 2 of us here today, so as a Yankee fan, I will say Yes, I'm worried about Devin Williams. I don't think he's recovered from giving up that home run to Pete Alonso in the playoffs last year. Tony, if you were a Yankee fan, which you're not, would you be worried about Devin Williams right now?
No, I'm not worried about anything. It's the first. We're not
But
even.
you know how sports fans are.
True.
Oh, they get big star prize acquisition. He went 0 for 4 opening day. He sucks. Why did we get him?
Yep, I hear. Believe me, I'm there with Brett Beatty. I hear you. I'm done. I'm done with him.
You're done with him
Done with Brett Beatty.
because of the uniform number. He had to give up 22 for Juan Soto.
Well, he should because he should.
What was that transaction? Did he get a car out of it?
He did.
He got a car out of it, didn't he?
It was something fancy. I don't even remember what it was, but it was something really nice.
Yeah. So, wow.
But it's fine because he doesn't belong in uniform anymore. Sorry.
See, now when he comes on the show, I'm going to tell him you said some bad things about him.
Well, he could be on the show every day because he'll have nothing else to do.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about here in this last segment. We did the Sports Bash Media Poll Question of the Day. We're going to tell you about some other cool things coming up. But also, as we talked about on the show last week, we have secured our next FOP. On April 22nd, we're going to be joined here in studio for the whole hour by Andrea Grimes, formerly a news anchor and reporter for WCBS Channel 2. And before that, she was with News 12. She used to live in Dallas for a little bit, where she went to college. I believe it was at SMU, where she went to college. But she had a very, very good career at Channel 2 and now has a family. I think there's 3 kids now with her and her husband. And they're back here on Long Island living. So Andrea, who I don't believe, and we touched on this the other day, I don't believe she has made a television appearance since she left Channel 2. So we might be, making some history here on Tuesday, April 22nd, welcoming Andrea to the show. Now, on the subject of FOPs, let's welcome to the show a former FOP and certainly a member of the FOP Hall of Fame, Rob in Lake Success. Rob, you're up next on Sports Bash.
Peter, cracking up on Hall of Fame, but you're the Hall of Fame. You're the general manager of a professional sports team.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure, Rob, I'm still trying to figure out how that happened.
I got to tell you, Peter, I listened. This young lady today, I hope she's listening now. I became friends with her on Twitter today, actually.
Uh-huh.
And, I didn't even know who she was, but I say, oh, look at this. She seems to be a very nice lady, and I listened to the show, and you're getting some really big people. So if I'm part of the family, then I feel absolutely honored.
Well, yeah, you're right. Let me tell you something. You're right up there with, the A-listers in the history of sports bashing, going back to our old show on LI News Radio. When you talk about someday there's going to be a Sports Bash Hall of Fame for callers, for listeners. No. I am telling you, because you've called when I've hosted on FAN, you've called those shows too. I am telling you, as far as I'm concerned, someday there'll be a Sports Bash Hall of Fame, and right up there is Rob from Lake Success.
Well, Peter, I really appreciate that, and I want to tell you something. The reason, other than the fact that I wanted to hear this young lady, because I found it today actually on Twitter, and it was a great show, and she did a great job.
Yes.
I just want to tell you, and I'm not doing this to kiss your fanny. You are by far what you're doing with this fan, this fan appreciation or whatever you call the FOP.
FOP.
I think it's revolutionary, and I think that the fact that you're inviting some people are regular like myself, and some people have made it in the business, and you're giving people opportunities.
I like to do that. Yes, I'm Rob. You know me for a couple of years now.
I know you for a while. Yeah.
I am a man of the people. People can say
definitely.
People can say whatever they want. They can make fun of me that I like to get free tickets. They can make fun of me that I get free stuff and I do this with my family and that. But at the end of the day, Rob, you know this. I'm a man of the people.
Not only a man of the people. Remember something in life. If people make fun of you, they like you.
Yes.
And they're impressed with you. And and the people that are making fun of you, and I know what you're referencing, they really do like you, and they get a kick out of it. If people don't care about people, and this is just philosophy, I guess, in the world, that they'll never say anything about you, or they'll talk bad about you. But if people reference you in a fun, light way, which they keep a kid around about you, that's because they appreciate you, they like you, and they find you someone that they want to be around. But I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
A Giant question, okay? Because it seems to be my feeling on the Giants draft, okay? Now, you got your Jet issues, but I'm looking...
I got a lot of issues with the Jets, but okay, yeah.
Well, so do I with my team. But I feel that we should not take the quarterback, Sanders, if he's going to be available. I want Hunter or this guy Carter, because I think that I don't want a project. We have two quarterbacks. I was talking to McMonagle this morning in the wee hours of the night when I woke up. And
you had trouble sleeping?
No, I get up to, when you get to a certain age, you have to
do listen, yeah, I know that. Nature calls in the middle of the night, yes.
And he's talking about the Giants. Now, he wants the quarterback, and it's obviously a matter of opinion. My thought is that you have two quarterbacks. The Giants have spent money on Russell Wilson, who I think has at least 1 year, maybe two. I think he's still got a lot left in the tank. You might not win I don't know if he can win a Super Bowl with this team anyway.
Right.
But I would look to get a quarterback in the second round and go with these two guys. I mean, you don't need to draft a project at this particular point. I think getting Hunter, if he's available, he seems to be moving up in stock. He could play cornerback and even once in a while wide receiver. You're getting two and he's a Heisman Trophy. And this guy Carter's an edge rusher. Your thoughts? I mean, you're as bright as anybody out there. What's your thought on what I'm thinking?
Rob, if you think I'm bright, then I think we have to have a conversation off the air. But I tend to agree with you. Here's what I'll say about drafting a quarterback that high. And I'll go back to, again, another quarterback that your team picked, and that was Eli Manning. And I remember Ernie Accorsi when they drafted him, and he was talking about the word conviction. And a lot of people who are around football or any sport, when you're the general manager and you are getting ready to have a pick, and a premium pick is that, if you have the conviction that a guy is a difference maker, and in the Giants' case back then, it was Eli Manning. If you have the conviction that this is the guy that's going to help you win a championship and you can make a trade, move up, and that's what the Giants did. In this case, if you're Joe Shane, if his conviction is that Shedeur Sanders is a guy that can help you win a championship, then I think you have to take him. I don't think he's going to be that good. I really don't. I agree. I would be safe and take Carter. I think he's going to be a great edge rusher for a long time in the NFL. And if the Giants aren't asking me for my opinion on it, but you are. If I'm the Giants, I'm taking Carter with that third pick.
And that's what I'm saying, because you can always get someone in the second round that could potentially become as good, if not better, than a Sanders. And I'll tell you something about Eli Manning, and I'll leave you with this, Peter. I remember when he was drafted, I got on the show with Richard Neer that Saturday.
Oh, I love Richard.
Richard, I don't know anything about Eli Manning. I really didn't follow Ole Miss, but he's a Manning. And I'll tell you this, if he's a Manning and what his brother did and his father did, I want this guy. And he turned out to be the greatest Giant, arguably. I know you had Phil on, and I love Phil Simms, but those two guys, I go Eli 1 and 1A maybe on Phil, and the greatest two runs. The people that say Eli elite, I got a rant on this, Pete. Elite, I don't give a crap about elite. The man won 2 championships. He beat an undefeated team, or he helped beat an undefeated team, and that would have had history at 18 or 19-0.
Yeah.
He ruined that. And he ran the greatest run, was part of the greatest run, Peter.
Yes.
You might not agree with me, but listen to this. They were 7-7 when they went in and beat your Jets.
I know. And Victor Cruz did that stupid dance.
And I was at that game, and I remember.
Yeah, I was too. I
was sitting next to license plate guy down behind the Jet bench, and I saw, who was your cornerback back then? Your Hall of Fame. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Revis. I was yelling at him. He looked at me with his angry face, like I want to come into the stands and take care of you.
See, Rob. Now you're losing some points because now you got to bring up a subject that I don't like to talk about.
Well, that to me, unfortunately for you, was the great. Listen, they had to run the table to get.
Yeah.
That every game was a playoff game, and the Jets were in the same situation. And Pete, you were around for '86, right?
Of course,
No,
absolutely.
of course you were. I will say this, and that was pre-radio.
If you bring up the Jets losing to the Browns in the playoff game, I am going to drive to Lake Success and smack you.
I'm going to give you a positive. That was, I still think your quarterback right now was the most underrated quarterback the Jets ever had.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they were 10-1. And I'm going to come with the bad side. They could have played the Giants in the Super Bowl.
If Mark Gastineau doesn't rough Bernie Kosar, which I told you not to bring it up, and I did it myself, but I think the Jets go to Denver and win the AFC Championship.
I agree with you. That to me was the greatest New York season, and the Jets actually had a better record than the Giants.
Yeah,
the Giants were 9-2 at that point. And then it just had whatever happened.
Well, they had, but Rob, the Jets had all those injuries that year. They kept losing player after player on the defense.
Listen, we talked about that Green Bay game. I went to that Green Bay game in '81 where the Jets helped the Giants get in, and I've been sitting there rooting for the Jets. They go, the Giants are in. They go, who cares about the Giants? Sitting up in the upper deck.
Yeah.
Section 42. I was up in the next to last row. Peter, listen, we could shoot the breeze forever.
Well, we're going to have an FOP part 2 at some point.
Yeah, you know what? That'd be great. But you know what we should do? I would love to have a round table, if that's possible. Like this young lady you had on today, the woman. Yeah, I mean, it could be like a real sports talk round table. Real, visionary type stuff. But what you're doing anyway is visionary. And Peter, enjoy the rest of the week, and I'll definitely catch you very soon on your show and maybe on FAN.
Well, right? Your mouth to God's lips that I get to fill in on FAN again at some point.
Listen, you're doing your own thing anyway, Peter. That's just extra stuff right now.
Thank you, my friend.
Peter, have a great week. Okay,
you
buddy?
too. Thank you.
You got it, pal.
Awesome to talk to Rob in Lake Success and an unofficial member of the. We don't have it yet, but I think someday there will be a Sports Bash Hall of Fame, and I think Rob from Lake Success should be an easy first ballot Hall of Famer when it comes to that respect. A few things that are coming up. First of all, on Thursday's show, we're going to be joined by Len Genova, the president of the Suffolk County chapter of the National Football Foundation. Very, very influential person in the football world. We're going to talk to him about everything that the National Football Foundation does, and also what they're doing is they're bringing back the Long Island versus New York City high school senior all-star football game to Hofstra on June 21st. It's, if you remember, the old Boomer Esiason Foundation Outback Challenge, and that stopped at COVID, and now they're bringing this game back at Hofstra June 21st. We'll talk to Len about that on Thursday. This Saturday, April 12th, and we had Ryan Corrigan from Corrigan Sports Enterprises on last week. Syracuse versus Cornell this Saturday at Mitchell Field, Mitchell Athletic Complex. Great lacrosse game. Looking forward to seeing a couple of key Long Island players playing in this game. Huey Kelleher for Cornell, and a graduate of MacArthur High School, where my younger son goes now, where my older son graduated from. And also Joey Spallina for Syracuse. So get to see both of those guys for the price of one. On
is that Len?
That was Len.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry, I didn't know. Okay, I'm showing this picture.
Did you just show it? Let's get that picture of Len back up there because Tony didn't follow the script.
I just didn't know who that was. So now I know who it is, so I'm showing the picture.
Did you read the text that I sent you earlier today?
you did say Thursday's guest.
Yes, I did. Okay. If I bust Wiz's balls enough, I could, once in a while I have to bust yours.
They're very bustable.
But the photo of that gentleman that I now see from the delayed screen, that is Len Genova from National Football Foundation. Now let's put the graphic back up, which is there, yes, of the lacrosse game for this coming Saturday, Syracuse and Cornell. Okay, we have that all sorted out. We covered Andrea Grimes earlier in the segment before Robin Lake Success. So that's coming up on April 22nd, FOP with Andrea Grimes, formerly of Channel 2. What am I missing here? The Dragons tonight I forgot that for my full-time job. I'm the general manager of the Dragons. Tonight we're having open tryouts at the U.S. Academy of Soccer in Farmingdale between 7 and 9. We've had a tremendous response to it. I think there's over 50 people coming tonight to try out, including, and I can't wait to see this, a 44-year-old flag football player.
Really?
Who is supposedly in the most unbelievable shape for a 44-year-old. So we're going to get a look at him, and a lot of former Long Island high school football players are on the list. Some of them have been very, very eager and excited. I had a couple of them reach out to me. They went to Dragon games as a kid, 17 years ago. So that's going to be fun to see tonight at the U.S. Academy of Soccer, 7 to 9, for New York Dragons open tryouts. The Marty Lions NFL Draft Party is coming up on Thursday, Thursday, April 24th, Great South Bay Brewery. I will be emceeing and hosting for the 5th year in a row. I don't want to speak out of term here, but I think there's some tickets left. I'll be there hosting. Marty Lyons, of course, will be there. Bobby Jackson is scheduled to be there. A cast of thousands appear. It's always a lot of fun with raffle prizes. Kenny Schroy will be there as well. Could be one or two other surprises. You never know. Kenny Zor working around the clock on trying to put that event together. So check out the Marty Lyons Foundation website. Get your tickets to see the draft party. See who the Giants get at 3 and who the Jets get at 7. And I think I covered everything now. Did we squeeze everything in?
No.
No, what'd I miss?
The Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Can I have a minute of overtime?
Of course.
So we had last Thursday on the show, Matt Campo, the CEO of Ronald McDonald House in New York, and I went to the event where the Islanders Children's Foundation teamed up with the Clark Gillies Foundation on the Clark Gillies Media Room at Ronald McDonald House in New Hyde Park, right by LIJ. And we're looking at pictures right now that I took at the event. Wonderful. Clark Gillies, who one of the great Islanders of all time. We miss him. And actually Thursday would have been his 71st birthday on Thursday. And that was the day. And there's a picture of Sparky in there sitting on the couch. And it's a great room. And it's for families who are, who have a child with medical needs and they need a place to stay. And they stay at the Ronald McDonald House. And this room is great. You can watch a big giant screen TV, whether there's a game on or whatever. There's a computer. They can play video games. The screen was set up for NHL video game there the other day when we were there. Lots of pictures of Islanders history, Stanley Cup banners, pictures of Clark Gillies all over the place. It was just a wonderful, wonderful event, and I thank the Islanders for inviting me to cover that. It was a who's who of people from the Islanders. Butch Goring, actually, there's a picture there of Cal Clutterbuck and Josh Bailey, two former Islander players who were there, but also Brian Trottier and Butch Goring were there. Great chance to speak to both of them. Also spoke to John Ledecky, the Islanders co-owner. So, check out all the websites: Islanders Children's Foundation, the Ronald McDonald House, Clark Gillies Foundation. If you can help all of those organizations, the Islanders Children's Hospital, the Islanders Children's Foundation, they do great work. It was an amazing thing, and I know Clark Gillies, and I didn't cover him, but I got to know him a little bit covering the Islanders and seeing him around after he was done playing and being here on Long Island. And we miss him just like we miss, Mike Bossy and Bill Torrey and Al Arbor. Those were great times growing up. They'll always be my guys. And anytime I have a chance to see my guys, I'm going to go see my guys. So, and be there for one of my guys, in this case for Clark Gillies. So we miss him very, very much. That will do it. I don't think now I didn't miss anything.
Correct.
That's everything now.
That's
yes. That will do it for this edition of Sports Bash presented by Ticketbash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Thanks to my guest, Jonna Perlinger. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Sports Bash is presented by Ticketbash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating Service. Sports Bash sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage and the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thank you for watching and listening. Sports Bash is back with you 1 o'clock on Thursday. Have a great day, everyone.